In this example, I'm going to use Tableau to visualize the content of a hard drive that has information spanning over 20 years. I'm going to look at the accumulation of digital information over time. And to start with, I have to obtain the file information that's on the hard drive. So this is a 1.5 terabyte hard drive. It's got 300 megabytes available, and in order to capture the information, I do a command directory /s. /s says do the directory through all the subdirectories. So directory star.star through all the subdirectories and pipe that information to a file called allfiles.dat, which I've already done. And you can see here's the file. It's 90 megabytes. I'm going to edit that file to show you what the content is. And then we will go from there. So here's the directory listing for that hard drive, and it's got a lot of information on it. You can see if I expand down to the bottom, it's 1.67 million lines long. So I have methods of cleaning this file and eliminating duplicate records, eliminating these directories. And so I process the file. When I do that, we end up with a fairly clean file that comes into Excel. And it's 810,000 individual files, as you can see here. If we go back to the top, what we have in it is date, time, file size, file name, and file extension. Basically, I won't talk about how I get the file extension, but I process this part of the file to get it. So I'm going to take this information, I'm going to pipe it into this Excel file, pipe it into Tableau, and the first thing I'm going to do is create a tree map file extension. So I just take the file extension, pop it in, tell it to do a tree map, and boom, here we go. What we end up with is we see that of the hard drive space occupied, which is over 1 terabyte, we have the largest segment of that is JPEGs, and then zip files, MP3s. So of course you have pictures. Zip is archive of previous work. MP3s are music, AVI, video, data, video, databases, video, and so on. So EXEs, DLLs. You can see the various file types, PDFs, and of course tree map goes down into infinite detail because there are a lot of different file types on the machine. So what I want to do is look at the accumulation of this information over time and what's happened. So using the year, just pop the year on there and some of the file size, and you can see that the accumulation of information going back to 1985 was very slow through the year 2000. Then it started picking up, and I had some big years here, 2007, where I accumulated 138 gigabytes, and then of course I dropped down, and then I'm rebuilding, and now the accumulation is higher, with in 2012 over 300 gigabytes accumulated. The question is, let's understand this a little bit. Why in 2007 was there a big accumulation in that year, and why again in 2005 were these big jumps? Some things were going on here. I was producing lots of information, and this was during a time where I was doing 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional computational science. Now this is not all the information I ever produced. It's just the files that I've maintained. And and then after that time I began doing more work on business analytics, and so creating a lot of information with business analytics over here. So let's take a look at using the power of Tableau to understand why was there such a big jump here in 2007. Well, one of the things we could do quite simply is let's make a copy of this just to show you a quick anomaly type technique that you can use in Tableau. So we could say this was anomalous. Let's just keep only 2007, and then let's bore down. We'll do it stepwise. We'll do it by month first. Okay, so here's the month, and February was down around 6 gigabytes, but suddenly I created 32 gigabytes in April. So let's keep only April, and then let's put this in by day. And then suddenly, boom, we can see the anomalous days. We can see, if we put the labels on, we can see that on April 3rd, we created almost 8 gigabytes compared to less than a gigabyte the day before. And then we got 11 gigabytes, and we got 9 gigabytes. So those are fairly big productive days. And the question is, what did we do on those days to produce those anomalous amounts of files? So I'm going to get to that in a second. because there's some interesting things. I just wanted to show you how you can quickly identify anomalies. So here's the running total of file size over time, and we're currently running at in 2013 1.17 terabytes on this drive. If we do daily bubbles, you can see this is colored by year, so in the early years the bubbles are all small, and as time is going out, by the time we get out here in 2006, you can see there was an anomalous day on December 7th, 2006, almost 14.5 gigabytes created. Out here on February 17th, got 17 gigabytes created. Here's one of the biggest ones, 24 gigabytes created in a day, and this one may be even larger. Yeah, 27 gigabytes created. So these are the anomalous days that show up pretty nicely in a bubble map. That's one way to show where they are, and you can quickly find out what they are. So this is taking that same information and boiling it down into a table, and then sorting it by the amount of data created in that table. So March 13th created 27 gigabytes and so on. You can see that big days happened in 13, 2012, 11, 2006. So this is particularly an interesting one because 5 years before the big days I have now, I created 15 gigabytes on that day. If we take those big days, those same big days, the top 10 of them or so, and plot a tree map of those, you can see specifically what happened on those days. Well, the day I just mentioned, December 7th, 2006, what turned out to be a zip file. Well, that probably represents a big archiving. Periodically had to archive my work, so that those zip files meant that during that day I was archiving a lot of work and compressing it. So, but so this, what jumps out at you is the biggest days that we have are zip days. Those are days where I'm cleaning up the hard drive and saying I need more space, so I'm going to compress the information. So by combining some simple analytics of a table, just picking out the top days and then turning it into a tree map, all of a sudden I can see that my biggest days happen when I archive. And then sometimes I get big data files coming in here. March 24th, 2003, I got, in terms of CSV files, over 18 gigabytes worth of CSV files. That's fairly large, fairly big data. And then we've got some other days where video creation or whatever, video files received on various content. But again, that's just some of the ways you can look at your information pretty rapidly in Tableau. Thanks for listening.